first of all, how was last week's call for everybody? I got really good feedback on the call and then some messages afterwards. Everybody felt different. You got a clear vision when we integrated those two parts and everybody got to have a pretty good experience there.
Mm.
Does anyone want to share? Andrea, yeah.
Yeah, weirdly, I couldn't let go of the now, even though I could see what I was going to. It just would not release me for some strange reason. So I need to figure out what the hell's going on there, because that's no fun.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I'm sure you could feel into that and see what was keeping you there. And
well, you mean you were constantly in the present moment?
Yeah, it's like it wouldn't let me go. Like I was.
Did you feel that as a bad thing then?
Yeah, because there's nothing really I want to stay in this particular zone for. If anything, I'd be quite happy to say goodbye and move on.
Like in the present version of yourself, right? Like they didn't merge. Like, okay.
No, it was weird. It was like it just wouldn't let me make the jump or make the transition at all. It was so annoying. It literally felt like I was being held back physically. And I thought, what the hell? Seriously? So that was quite...
Today's process might help you get some answers from that.
Did anybody else have that, or is it just me in Weirdland? No, it looks like everybody else did all right.
Okay. Anybody else want to share?
I bought some new shorts.
Oh, that's good.
Alan grew to 10 feet tall after that session.
Yeah. Grew out of those old shorts.
All right. So I think we got a few people still coming. We had a great turnout today. Okay. So let's chat for just a moment about some upcoming programs, and then we'll get into today's, because I am super excited for today. And I think it might be one of the most important things I teach. But coming up, we talked about this a little bit. So we're going to do I have a couple programs and I want to see what's most urgent for all of you. So one of the ideas I had, and we talked about this before, was a wealth mindset. And I'm still playing with the name, but I might call it the frequency of money or the wealth generating mind. Those are a few things that came up. So that would be a 12-week program to take you step by step into creating a new money identity, shedding old limiting beliefs, letting go of anything that no longer serves you. And then there will be recordings to listen to every night to help reprogram yourself. So I know all of you said that seemed like something that you would enjoy, and that would be pretty exciting, right? So the other option, we'll do that. But the other thing is we can do I want to do a daily visualization process. And I think I'm going to call it the abundant time system. So this is how to structure your day, how to plan your day, and then how to visualize your day to put you into a state where you're in this like effortless, productive flow. And that's kind of what we're doing today. Is I'm going to teach you how to get into that state. But this would have a nightly recording, a morning recording, and then a few lessons on structuring your time and your day to make the most of it. So we could do that before or after the time, or after the money course. Does anyone have any thoughts on that? Which one? I guess leave a comment which one you would like to do first. Just put time or money so I get an idea. So the time one would probably be 3 or 4 weeks. The money one, I don't think I can do any less than 12. So that's a pretty big commitment, but most of you are on the calls every week regardless. So I don't worry about losing any of you. Time, money, time, money. All right, perfect. We're about split here. Time would be easier to get up and out to all of you because it's just shorter, but. So Allison said about Think and Grow Rich. Yeah, so I would work in the Think and Grow Rich principles into that money course. I would like more time to focus on money. All right, so I think you guys are pretty split and or indifferent. All right, so that gives me an answer. All right, so today, we got some familiar people on here. Hi, Tamra, Patty, Chris, Angela. All right, so today we're going to go over how to access alpha brainwaves. And so some of you have heard me talk about this before. Anybody? All right, so I want to share an image with you before we start, because I made a post on Facebook a while ago about the difference between alpha brainwaves and beta brainwaves. And I'm going to talk about a little bit of religious symbolism here. And I don't want to get too far into religion or spirituality with this because I don't want to divide anybody, but I think there's symbolism that's worth noting in specifically in the Christian Bible. So I want to share with you this idea, this post first. Let's see here. All right, can everybody see this? Can you see this image, Freddie?
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody posted this on Facebook, and I made a post about it and I commented on it. So they said, this is what God's voice is like. And they said, this is what Satan's voice is like. And as I read this, I realized what they were talking about was alpha brainwaves and beta brainwaves. So think about, many of you have had days where you're just in this calm state of presence, and you look at your to-do list and you just check one thing off after another, and it seems effortless, right? Have we all been there? Some of you more, some of you less than you'd like, right? And then some of us have these days where we live in this like stressful, lots of effort, we're chasing our tail, we're responding to the things in our world, and we never seem to get anything done. We've all had this experience, right? Yeah, no lean. So when we can slow our brain waves down and we can rehearse the day as we want it, what tends to happen is that we are at cause instead of reacting. We are in charge of our day, and we can manage our day from a slower brainwave state, which is where the right hemisphere of our brain is more active, and we just seem to get things done. Creativity flows to us. We're more productive. We connect better with people. And all that is a change in your brainwave state, right? You've all heard me talk about the way we perform and the quality of our life is all linked to the state that we are in. And the cool thing about hypnosis, when Freddie and I work with people, is we can activate their alpha and theta brainwaves. And in doing so, the thoughts that they have and the feelings they have in beta brainwaves just disappear. So when you're in beta and you're a little bit stressed out, this is what tends to happen. You're rushed. You're like giving a lot of effort. You feel like compulsive needs to do things. You're worried. You get confused. You get frustrated. Anytime you're obsessing over a thought or a goal, that's the left hemisphere, and that's active beta brainwaves. And I'm sure this doesn't happen to any of you, but people you probably know or work with have self-talk that feels very condescending and condemning of themselves, right? None of you, I'm sure, ever have this. But literally, when you switch into active alpha brainwaves, you can turn off the internal dialogue. Those thoughts and feelings disintegrate and disappear in minutes. And the whole entire world looks different. You get more creative inspiration. You respond to the world as it comes to you. Instead of having to think ahead and plan ahead, you're more spontaneous. And then these are the feelings you get, where you feel reassured, you feel at peace, you feel calm, you feel creative. So I don't know if that's God's voice or Satan's voice or just your brainwave states changing. Does anyone have any questions on this? I'm going to explain the left and right hemisphere in just a moment, but any questions before we start? And you've all experienced what it's like to just be in that state of productive, creative flow. How many of you use that on a daily basis, whether it's through meditation or visualization, to reliably access that state? Anybody? A few? Okay. That is one of the most important things you can do. And that's why I wanted to create the abundant time system, because it's training yourself to go into that state. So the left hemisphere of the brain, this isn't exactly accurate, but it's a useful map here. So the left hemisphere of the brain we can tend to think of as our conscious mind. It has more of a masculine aspect. It's more decisive. It's more rational. it's linear, it's logical. And this is kind of where our internal dialogue is generated, is that left hemisphere. So if you look at the Bible, all references tend to be like Jesus talks about ascended into heaven and is seated at the right hand of the Father. Well, are they talking about the right hemisphere of the brain? Maybe. And then if you know when Jesus was crucified, the criminal on the right side of him was repentant. Do you remember this? And the criminal on the left side of him was very condescending and was very judgmental. And I don't know if that's symbolism for the right and left hemispheres of the brain, but it's a little curious. And then when they're fishing in the boats and they're not catching anything, Jesus says, cast your nets to the right side of the boat. And of course, they pull up a net full of fish. And so I don't know if this is the symbolism in the Bible or not, but it tends to make me curious. Also, if you look at the Christian symbol of the fish, it's eerily similar to the Greek symbol of alpha, which is the alpha brainwave states, which is what happens when we activate the right hemisphere of the brain. So there's some kind of cool potential symbolism in the Bible that talks about this. So our right hemisphere is our creative, non-linear aspect. I think it's more of a feminine aspect, and it's more intuitive, and it doesn't use language. So it's more of feeling, experiential, and creative access. So when we can shut off our left hemisphere and our language, we can activate that right hemisphere more, where we get creative ideas and creative intuition. And that's when we get into that state where when a problem comes up, we just know how to solve it instantly. Any questions there before we start doing some experiences here? Good. All right, everybody's pretty clear on that. So one thing we can do to shut off the left hemisphere is we do this a lot in our hypnosis processes, is relax the tongue. So when you're getting ready to speak, when you're having a conversation with someone and you're in that state where you're like, you want to respond, you're thinking about your response before you're not really listening to them. That's the activated left hemisphere. And your tongue, it's like it's spring-loaded, ready to speak. And so when you're having internal dialogue, your tongue starts to sub-vocalize without you knowing it. So if you've ever noticed, a lot of times when we're doing hypnosis and meditations, I'll have you relax your entire tongue down your throat, because when you do that, that turns off the left hemisphere, it turns off the internal dialogue. And then to activate the right hemisphere, the best way to do it is to feel into space. So 99% of everything around you, at 99.99999, it's space. It's not matter. And what happens is we focus on the matter and we neglect the space. So there can be space divides us, but it also connects us. So if you think about when you look at someone and you feel into the space between you and you think about it as connecting you to that person, you have a totally different experience than when you think about the space dividing you from that person. And so when our mind starts to feel the texture of space around us, our brain waves start to slow down and we access more of the right hemisphere, and different parts of our brain tend to fire and synchronize. So when we're thinking about our problems with our left hemisphere, we tend to get super focused and we're vocalizing and narrating our problem, and our problem becomes a huge part of our consciousness. But when we feel into space, we let that problem get smaller and we activate more parts of our brain, more networks of our brain to plug into that problem state. And it collapses the state linked to the problem. I'm getting a little bit, I feel like I'm lecturing here. I want to make sure everybody's following and involved so we can do an experience. Patty gave me a thumbs up. Okay. Let me see if there's any messages here. Jennifer says Neville Goddard talks a lot about this symbolism. Yes, and I love Neville Goddard. All right, so let's do an experience and let's just see what it's like. Oops, to shut off this internal dialogue here. Everybody ready? So I'm going to explain one thing here before we start. So different parts of our body have a different amounts of nerve endings. And so the amount of nerve endings correlates to the amount of real estate in our brain that it uses. So your hands, your feet, your mouth, your lips, your eyes, they take up a lot of nerve endings. Think about to taste something, the texture. So your mouth uses a disproportionately large amount of nerve endings. So when you focus your attention into your mouth and you feel the space inside your mouth, you're firing all the parts of your brain linked to that. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to feel into the space around our most nerve dense areas in our body. And that's going to fire more parts of our brain. And we're going to just become aware of more things at one time. And you're going to notice how those parts of your brain synchronize. Everybody ready for that? Cool. We've done some things similar to this, but let's have an experience. So everybody just get comfortable, get situated. You can put your feet on the floor, put your hands face down on your legs if that's comfortable. And you can begin to notice the sensation of your breath. And begin to notice the volume of your breath in your nose. And as you do, you can let your eyes close and just relax. But feel the sensation of that breath filling your nasal cavities, down your esophagus, into your lungs. And notice the sensation of that breath filling the space inside your lungs. Every exhale and every inhale. Just becoming more aware of sensation. And move your focus now, as you continue to breathe slowly, into your tongue. And imagine that you can feel every single nerve, fiber, and molecule inside the space of your tongue. And imagine relaxing that so completely, all of those muscles, all the way down your throat. And get a sense of the texture and the feeling of your gums and your teeth. And become more aware of all of the sensations in your mouth, your tongue, to include your throat and the space in and around your ears. And imagine the feeling of space and distance between your ears. Noticing the texture of space expanding to fill your entire head. And the space around your entire head. And can you continue to be aware of that space around your head and include noticing the space inside and around all of your fingers? And you may notice a sense of heaviness or warmth in and around your fingers and your hands. And just notice that space expanding or becoming more aware as your brainwaves continue to slow and to synchronize in that calm, present, relaxed state. And I don't know if you can include the feeling of space in and around your feet and your toes. Is it possible for you to be aware of the space in your tongue, between your ears, in and around your eyes, at the same time as feeling the space around your hands, your fingers, your feet, and your toes? And what would it be like if you got a sense of the space around your entire body? If you could notice the feeling of space around each one of your energy centers. And your spine. And get a sense that there's this powerful aura of space surrounding you. And you may have noticed that feeling has allowed all of the parts of your brain to synchronize into one coherent frequency. And that all parts of your body and your mind are now in perfect communication. As you continue to feel nothing but expansion and space. And imagine all of the boundaries of your body just dissolving into space, becoming one with the space that surrounds you. In a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. And you will maintain this feeling of spaciousness, of expansion, of a calm, coherent mind. 1, getting a sense of what this feels like. 2, feel even more expanded in every moment, more aware, more conscious. 3, what would it be like to move through your days in this state? in this calm. 4, feeling more empowered, more present. And 5, eyes opening, maintaining this sense of increased and heightened awareness for the rest of the session and the rest of the day. Saw a couple heads bouncing there. All right, how's everybody doing? So you can share or leave me a comment. Give me some feedback here, because I can go into that feeling for myself pretty quickly, but I've trained it. So I want to see how everybody did.
I was totally gone.
Totally gone. Okay.
Shortly.
Yeah, I kept missing instructions too, because I noticed I kind of not
Perfect.
dozed off, but came back into paying attention. And the bobbing of the head is part of that too.
Yeah, David, well, good to see you again. And so, yeah, I mean, you know, we could use the word spaced out, right? Like I kind of helped you guys space out a little bit.
Yeah.
Lynn, you wanted to share?
Yeah, that really went there. Really did fit, especially when you went to the whole body and expanding. Yeah, that was incredible. Thank you. Really calm, peaceful. Very good.
Good.
Thank you.
Veronica?
Yeah, I felt like I was gone. And I was also, it's funny, earlier I was in another call. We had to come up with the word how we were feeling. And to me, the word came awareness. And now when you said awareness, it was kind of powerful. And I'm also curious, how is that different from, like, say, progressive relaxation?
So progressive relaxation is similar in that you are bringing awareness to the different parts of your body and intentionally relaxing them. We're not just intentionally relaxing them. We are getting a sense of the space and the volume of space in and around those areas. So let me ask you, was that a different experience for you than someone just leading you through a progressive relaxation?
Yes, because I was trying to figure out, you know, just the like a volume awareness and trying to figure out what it means, the volume of like stuff that you breathe. So like your brain kind of like goes trying to think when you're already kind of like in a different state already. So yeah, that's different.
Yes. So some of what happens is your left hemisphere is trying to figure out and trying to rationalize and trying to like be able to narrate and explain what's happening. And so the more you do this, the more you can just like, you'll be like, oh, that voice is trying to experience this. You let it go, and then you can feel into space without narrating it. And so this is one of the things I teach for cold showers as well. And I know Freddie enjoys these, is when you're in a cold shower, your brain goes, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, I'm dying. Oh, you're narrating, oh, this is cold, this sucks, I don't like this. You're narrating it. And when you can stop narrating it and you can feel the cold and you just get a sense of like, what's the texture of it like without putting words to it, you become really present to it. And then you can think, you could solve math problems when you're taking that cold shower. You could write poetry, like instead of being all tense and narrating it, like you can still tap into your creative essence because you're opening yourself into space. Does this make sense?
Yes, totally. And I've done cold plunges before, and I know how it feels when you're in a cold ocean and stuff, and like your brain goes in a completely different state. And I know people would say that, you know, when they do cold plunges, their pain and everything disappears. It's a very different state. Totally.
Yes. Yes. Perfect. Thanks for sharing, Veronica. Yes, Mandy.
Hi, Nick. I got the open focus brain on your recommendation and listened to it, and I've been doing that in the shower. It's amazing. It seriously is. It just calms everything down.
Good. I know I've talked about this before, but I did a podcast episode with Les Femi's wife because he passed away, and it was on the open focus brain. I will put that podcast episode in the library with this recording so you can listen to that. It's really powerful. And we'll talk about just in a minute here, how to use that for more creativity and how to apply this. But thanks for sharing, Mandy. Anything else? Good. Anybody else want to share before we talk about some applications here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feeling this. When you say feeling the space, I was a bit. What's feeling the space? That I won't say disturb me because I was super relaxed and everything like that. But it says, how do you feel space? I was like, it was a bit. I would say it's not strange because I wasn't like consciously that, oh, what is it? I just let go. It was, I mean, the feeling was great. My question is, so when you feel this, when you imagine the space or feel the space or visualize the space, you're more in alpha, right? Because you're less linear.
Correct. So this is, I mean, it's a new concept, right? Like your teachers in middle school were like, oh, let's practice opening our focus into space, right? So for a lot of people, it's a new concept. And of course, the left hemisphere, which is for most of us is running our lives, tries to understand and explain it. But what it really is it's like you're just feeling the texture that your nerve endings are feeling. And so if you imagine like taking your thumb and just putting all of your focus and attention into what your thumb is feeling at that, like right now, you can do this right now. Feel into your thumb and imagine if you could feel like the texture of space around that thumb. And you can even like, if you hold your thumb, you can feel your skin and the warmth and like the squeeze. And even if you just focus onto that sensation without narrating it with language, you just feel it, the same thing kind of starts to happen. And then in our meditation, we imagine, like you can imagine there's this like cloud of energy around your thumb. And if you can imagine feeling the weight and texture of that energy, that's essentially what we're doing. And it's almost like you can't really explain it because it's a right hemisphere experiential process, but that's probably the best I could explain it.
Yeah, I'm not sure who asked that question, but it made me aware of what, asking that question, how do you feel the space? For me, I realized that for me, I became the space. That's how it felt for me. I disappeared into that space. There was the physical aspect of me kind of disappeared and became the space itself. That's how I would describe my experience of what I've just been through there. And until I nearly fell off my stool, I actually came back felt back into the body, which stopped me falling on the floor. But before that, I was in that space. Yeah, beautiful. It was for me. I've been around a long time doing this. That was about as deep as I've ever gone into hypnosis. Truly, I loved it. It's great. Yeah.
Good. So if any of you follow Joe Dispenza, a lot of his work is based around Les Femi's work in the open focus brain as well. And so Joe and a lot of people who have energy center type of meditations, what they're doing is they're putting your attention into each of the energy centers and then helping you, whether they know it or not, to open your focus so that it opens. So like if I'm doing my solar plexus chakra, right? And then I'm opening the parts of my brain that are connected to that chakra. And so as I open my focus into that chakra, I'm recruiting the part of my brain that controls it. And instead of having a constricted flow of energy, I'm opening it back up. And so we can do that with all of our energy centers all the way up the line. And imagine feeling the space around each one of those at the same time. All of the parts of the brain connected to all of the energy centers are then online, allowing them to synchronize. And so many of the times when we have a problem, the problem is really we are so hyper-focused on the pictures or the sounds or the feelings of that problem that we're not recruiting more of our brain to help us solve it. And so if you're working with a client or yourself, and you can hold in your mind that problem, make it smaller and farther away, and then open your focus through your whole body, the problem tends to dissolve, or you tend to have a whole different perspective on it. many of you were probably on our, Freddie and I did the Blockbuster process a while ago. It's in your library if not, and that's part of what we do is we allow you to open your focus to things other than the problem, which recruits more of your brain real estate. And then we plug that brain real estate into helping you solve the problem. So I'm going to go into how to use this for more creativity, to master your day, a bunch of things right now. But is there any questions before we go a little bit deeper into application?
Can I
Yeah,
just ask
Veronica?
a question, Nicholas, about relaxing your tongue? I know the tongue is very powerful, like in Indian, like the like whatever mudras they have the touching the top of the mouth. I think it also has something to do with NLP or whatever it is. Can you talk a little bit more about relaxing your tongue and stuff?
So I think when your tongue is really relaxed, the tip of it should be right in the, I don't even know what that's called, but there's a space there that connects the energy flow through your entire body. So the tip of it should be resting gently on the roof of your mouth. And then it's almost just an intention and a feeling of feeling it relax. Like when you feel into the space of it, intending for it to relax, your tongue runs all the way down and just becoming aware of the entire thing, relaxing at the same time. But again, when it's really relaxed, the tip should be resting on the roof of your mouth. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. Did anyone else have a comment? I feel like, Patty, were you going to say something? You look like you're chomping at the bit there.
No, I just said, or vice versa, that the top of your mouth is resting on your tongue.
Yeah, just as likely, just as likely. All right. So how do I use this let's say this, when I use this process, my days go totally differently than if I wake up late and I'm reactive to my life. This is again where the program I want to create for you guys is centered around. When you visualize something, you guys know I talk about this a lot. I talk about, performance, visualization, mental rehearsal. When you mentally rehearse something in a state of open focus, in a state of more alpha brainwaves, the alpha brainwaves get linked to your visualization. I've never heard anybody talk about this quite like this, but think about it. If you're in a trance, whether you have more alpha, more theta, and you're visualizing yourself performing in a certain way, you start to anchor those brainwave states to that performance context. Mm-hmm. So if you're a public speaker, let's say you get anxious, you used to get anxious when you were speaking in public. Mm-hmm. And if I was coaching you, I would do a mental rehearsal process where I would open your focus. I would put you in more alpha and more theta brainwaves. And then I would have you imagine speaking in that state. And after a few repetitions of that, your brain goes, oh, anytime that we go step out in public to speak, we need to activate more alpha and theta brainwaves. So pretty soon you step out in front of people, and instead of having beta brainwaves and being anxious and not having the answers and like you have to try really hard and you have to force it, the alpha and theta automatically fires and you are just in a state of creative flow. So anytime you rehearse anything with more alpha brainwaves, that gets linked up. So when the night before, when you're planning your day, you write out your day and you go into alpha, you open your focus, you visualize it. Guess what happens? The next day, your brain goes, oh, we've already lived this day. We lived it in alpha brainwaves. We lived it in a calm, relaxed, centered state. Let's just do that again. And that's what it does. And then you go through your day and you're like, you know what? Like I've checked everything off my list. That was weird. And then the next day you won't do the process and you'll look at your list and nothing will get done. And you'll be frustrated. You'll be chasing your tail. This is the difference between intentionally setting up alpha brainwaves ahead of time or being reactive to the day as it comes to you. Over time, it's a totally different life. How many of you see that? How many of you, if you looked at your life, like you can write this down, you don't have to share, But think about how many of your days, how many days in a week do you spend in primarily alpha flowing states? And how many of those days do you spend in a reactive, stressed out beta brainwave? I see a lot of shrugging and right? Like probably not as many as I think. David, I'll get to you in 1 second. And then I want you to think about even the language we use around feeling into space. So when you feel good, do you feel expanded or contracted? Do you feel bigger or smaller, right? Alan last week on our call said he feels 10 feet tall. Why do we feel more space when we feel better? Why do we feel bigger, expanded, a more sense of presence to the space around us? And just like even when I talked about with fasting, when my thoughts went somewhere else, I could feel my energy field contract. When I'm present into the sensations of space around me, I feel expanded. I have more power. I have more creativity. And so as you train yourself into this state, you respond to the world as it comes to you instead of your preconceived perceptual filters, your judgments, and your fears. How are we doing? Is this kind of important, or do you think this is really important?
Really important.
David, I'm coming to you 1 second. I'm on a roll here. So the other thing I want you to think about is the left hemisphere of our brains are where language comes from. And we can't judge things without putting language to it. So if you're judging somebody, it's always from the left hemisphere of the brain. It's always from a stressful, heightened state. Even if you look at a tulip, for example, I was thinking about this today, how to explain this to you. A tulip it's a manifestation of life force energy. But what we do when we see things like a tulip is we use language to label it. And then we think, oh, I've seen a tulip before, right? Like I know what it is. We don't get a sense of the full essence of a tulip. But if you shut off the narrator, the left hemisphere, and you really use all your senses to feel into a tulip, the textures of the petals, the like incredible colors, the smells, like this manifestation of life takes dirt and sunshine and water and turns it into a tulip. Like how incredible is that? But we bypass those miracles all the time because we label it with the left hemisphere. We say, oh, we know what that is. And then we move on. But if you really want to get a sense of the richness of life, you lose the labels of the left hemisphere, you use the right hemisphere, and you can be really present with the essence of something and experience it in a totally new light.
Yeah.
All right. I think you guys are enjoying that. All right, let's get to David. David, I put you on ice here for a minute. What's going on, buddy?
You're fine. One thing I was curious about, so this is really interesting from the performance aspect. And I'm glad I have this idea because I totally get the linkage of being able to visualize in this state versus something else, rushing it, coming from something chaotic, and just those are the times it shouldn't be surprising that it doesn't work as well. So a micro visualization, something coming up in the next day, next hour, whatever. Could this apply in the sort of longer term? Visualize an end state of like months down the path, something that maybe you're not necessarily doing now, or even activities that you're actually performance wise, but you're just visualizing the end state as if it's already done and you're enjoying the finish line crossing, that sort of thing. Does it have a similar, I mean, why not, right? Get into alpha and theta to do that, but is it working the same mechanisms, I guess?
Absolutely. And so I use a lot of the stuff. I mean, you've listened to the performance protocol. I use a lot of this stuff in there. And one of the things I do in there is I'll put you into the end state, or I'll put you in the middle of the performance that you want to have. And what I'm doing is I put you into the feeling of space, and I kind of create this aura around you, and you get a sense of what it feels like. But the other thing I do to open your focus and to include more parts of your brain is I will slow things down and have you hear what are, as you're performing, what are people saying or how are they responding? What does it feel like in your body? What are you seeing? If you're in the middle of a performance and you can take the time to smell and to taste, and you can sense your entire body and you feel connected to everyone in your audience, and you can hold those awarenesses all at the same time, your subconscious mind runs the show. There's no conscious thought about it. Like that's when you activate higher states of flow and creativity. And when I'm when I'm speaking or doing my resonance event, I practice this. And what I imagine is all of the space that connects me to all of the people there. And I imagine delivering content like automatically while I'm reading my audience. And so I've practiced reading people while delivering. So my focus is open to more stimulus than just like a narrow thought pattern of what am I going to say next. That's where your conscious mind interrupts you, is when it's like you're stuck on what you're going to say. When you can relax, the words come automatically. And whatever performance is, it comes automatically. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it seems like it could be used for like rewriting past stuff too.
Everything.
Like reconsidering, like, you have your surface level belief that you think, and you work back to the root and go back to that moment. And like when you can reconsider what actually happened or what was going on. Yeah, but in that state is the key.
Yes. So let's say that, like, if I'm working with trauma with somebody, when we go back to the trauma, their brain is really narrow focused on one thing. It might be the way someone's face looked. It might be the feeling of pain in their body, but it's really narrow focused. And what they don't realize is there's a ton of information all around them that has nothing to do with the trauma. And so if you can open their focus to like, what color was the paint on the walls, and what's the feeling in your big toe? Their narrow focus of the trauma gets smaller and smaller. And I'm not saying that's the best way to resolve trauma, but the more parts of the brain then become involved, and the trauma goes from, this much of their consciousness, and it starts to shrink in relation to all the other things they're focused on.
Very cool.
So yes, you can change all kinds of stuff. And you should use this in any other process as well. Freddie, you wanted to share something?
Only what you were saying about the focus, how your focus widens. I work with a guy who was a super bike rider. So they ride over 200 miles an hour on his racer because he was a World Series rider. And I worked with him, and he came back after this race he was in, and he said he actually had time to see the faces of the people in the crowd. This guy's going around this track an inch off the ground at 200 miles an hour. And he said, he was like a passenger. And that's what I said to him. I actually said to him, like, your unconscious mind, your subconscious mind knows how to ride this bike, and you can let it do that. And he did, and with that, he could just relax into it, let his instinctive subconscious mind ride that bike. And he said he had time to look at the faces, so he could see the faces, smiles of people in the crowds as he was going around at that speed. So yeah, it's exactly the state he was talking about.
And that's a state of allowing or surrender. And when you allow your subconscious mind to do the work, you become that passenger and you become the observer. And, like, allowing and surrendering is really releasing any thought about the problem. So when I'm sure none of you have experienced this, right? But when the left hemisphere latches onto a problem or a goal, and it starts obsessing about it, and it starts spinning this narrative over and over, and you get so fixated on it, even if it's a positive thing that you're working towards, what happens is you never release it and allow the universe to deliver back to you what you're working on. So if you think about sending a letter through the postage, if the mailman came to your door and you were like, hey, I got this letter for you, and you reach your hand out to hand it to him, and he goes to grab the letter and he tries to take it away, but you cling to it tighter. And the harder he tries to pull it away, the tighter you cling to it. Does your letter ever get delivered? No, he can't take it. So when you access the right hemisphere, you go into a state of allowing where you turn over your vision, your problems, the solution, you turn it all over to the universe, and you relax your energy system so completely that energetically the thing can come to you. Attachment and neediness are what keeps your visions from manifesting in your life. Many of you, I'm sure, have had relationships where you really like somebody and they start to get needy or attached, and you're like, whoa, I don't know, like I don't quite feel right. I feel different. If you can release that attachment, and really what that means is to release the left hemisphere ruminating on things, when you can release that, it allows the universe to come to you. So alpha brainwaves, right hemisphere activation, is a state of allowing. And when you're in left hemisphere activation, you're searching. You're out there like trying and you're efforting. And many of you, you've probably forgotten a name at some point. And the harder you try to remember the name, the farther away it goes, right? And when you stop and you sit back and you get distracted, you take a shower or whatever, and you allow, that name comes into your head automatically, doesn't it? Like as soon as you take the pressure of that searching off, it comes into your mind. This is why alpha, sorry, I'm excited today. I know I'm lecturing a bit, but this is where alpha is so powerful, is you can step into a vision that you want to create. This is what I do every single day. I'm like, all right, what am I going to tell these people on this call today? I go into it. I imagine seeing all of you. I imagine seeing all your responses, and I let it go. And I open the space up in my body, and I wait and allow the answers and the structure of content to come to me. If I ever have an event, if I ever have a hypnosis process, if I ever have a talk I want to do, if I'm renovating a house and I want to see the end of it, I will go to the feeling of the end state. I will go to your feedback, and I will see your faces, and I will hear you say, that was incredible. I feel 10 feet tall, right? And then I'll just let it go, and I'll wait. And then the answers come to me, and I go, oh, that's it. That's what I say. And Freddie and I talked about this on the creativity episode we did. When you surrender the plans into the field, into God, into source, the creative mind, infinite intelligence, whatever you want to call it, you get answers that you don't get when your left hemisphere is seeking and searching and trying. How are we doing so far? Because I want to do another experience here.
Yeah. Can I just, I'm listening to this for the first time as well. So I'm in awe like everyone else here, but I'm also thinking, how can I get to that state anytime I want? So my thinking would be, and I don't know whether you'll be up for doing it, but the actual process you took us through, just that part of it, if that was an audio for everybody in the library, where we could all use it like a self-hypnosis, just that, we can have our own plans of our own goals. Now that you've explained how we can tap into that end state, but to get to that state we've just been in where you took us to, I think it would be, for me anyway, I'd love to have that, just like when I go to bed at night, just listen to Nick taking me into that space. I'm sure a load of other people would love the same thing, which is something we could use at any time, have it on our phone. We've got 10 minutes. We want to think about our end state, just sit for 10 minutes and listen to that part of what you've done earlier. I think that would be, incredible for everybody. Who thinks the same? Hands up. Yeah, I think it was a pretty winning suggestion there. All right.
But the winning
I think that's because we all understand it's brilliant what you're saying, but I'm thinking, but I understand that. But how do I get to that point? So if we could have your guidance and that your voice as an audio in the library where we could go to and go, okay, I'm going to listen to that and take me to that space. Just a suggestion. I'm just a hypnotist.
When I put that post out about the image of God's voice and Satan's voice, I actually was like, if I made this a course with a series of audio recordings to help train you to access that state, who would be interested? And I got a ton of people interested. So I can make a couple audios together to really train you to go there, to use it for the end state, to use it for creativity or a few things. So everybody seems like that's a good idea, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a question. I know a lot of you are hypnotists, coaches, therapists. Have any of you heard this taught in this way before? Not quite. It's useful. Lynn, yes?
I've heard space mentioned and trying to expand into space, but I've never been able to get there before. Like, I think he broke it down into little steps that led you eventually into that whole, I mean, I felt it all the way through, that
Good.
allowed me to, just like somebody else said earlier, just to go and melt into that. So yes, I have heard it before, but never taught like that. So
good. And I would love to take credit, but what I do is I imagine Lynn saying something like that, and then I just let source tell me how to do it. And so that's this process. And like, I use the process to teach the process. So what I want to do now is I want you to think about a problem that you're having, that you were having. We call it a problem, or maybe a goal. It could even be a goal. Something you want to resolve, something you want to accomplish. Just take a moment and think about that. And then think about, once that's accomplished or resolved, what's the end state like? So for me, for all of you, it's hearing your feedback. That's the end state for me. I've got some real estate deals that I'm working on closing, and the end state is handing the keys over and getting a check. So I've been using that process lately. So get really hyper specific on the end state. So this is actually where we use the left hemisphere. So it's not like the right hemisphere is better and the left hemisphere is bad. We use the left hemisphere, the masculine part, to make decisions. And then we hand the plans over to the right hemisphere to be revealed to us. So is everyone clear on the problem that or the goal they're going to resolve, and then what the end state looks like? Okay. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to put you into the end state. I'm going to open your focus there. And then I'm just going to have you let go and allow. And when you allow, you're going to get answers. You're going to get ideas. You're going to get insights. And they may be images, it may be words. I can't tell exactly how it'll show for you. But the important thing is that you don't try to rationalize or figure out how it's going to work or poo-poo the idea. What you do is you allow it and have no judgment for it. Is everybody clear on that? I'm sure all of you have had like brilliant ideas, and then you go, I don't think that's going to work. Like, no, like, oh, that's a cool idea. No, I don't think so. Right. And we try to rationalize it, and our left hemisphere shuts down our creative inspiration. The whole goal here is just to allow. Whether you do anything or not, we can figure that out later, but just let those ideas come to you, because you're going to build a road. You're going to build a line of communication to this creative intelligence. All right. It's 4 already. All right. Any questions, feedback? Let me check the comments here to make sure I'm not leaving anybody out. Great to know how to shut off the chatter. People feel balanced, calm, peaceful, speechless, don't want to talk. Yep. Calm, open brightness, perfect. So Sarah Max says, felt great. Reminds me of Joe Dispenza's meditations. Yeah, and that's what it does. I think Joe's meditations are longer than they need to be, but that's a whole other thing. Freddie, am I missing anything in the comments? Do you have anything to share before we do this?
Sorry, I was in a bit of a trance there myself, so. One thing that someone said, for those who are hypnotists here, is that that process you took us through, someone said that they struggle to get into hypnosis because they're not good visualizers. But because that was more about feelings, they went into it much deeper than they'd normally go into hypnosis. And I think that was probably why I went into that as well. You know, because we're not saying see this and see that. It's more feel this, feel that, experience this at a, you know, physically. It made a massive difference to the depth of trance that I went into anyway.
Good. And I try
to
open the focus into all of the senses, like when I'm doing a performance or something, so that we can include all of them. That one was, the first one we did was obviously very heavy into kinesthetic. So for those of you who are good at the kinesthetic, it was probably a really powerful process for you. And you could even imagine seeing the space around your hands while you're feeling, you know, if that helps you. All right. So is everybody ready? You've got your problem, you've got your end state, and you're ready to surrender that to the greater mind. And listen, you might believe that you're tapped into divine intelligence. You might believe that it's just your subconscious mind generating the answer. I don't really care. And I don't really know, to be honest, but I just know when I do this process, I get more creativity, I get more answers, I'm more centered. And then for the rest of the day, I'm more productive. So before we start, one thing I find is when I center, like if I just do a meditation on my own, it takes me about maybe 10 minutes to like drop into that space where I'm present and grounded in my body. And it lasts all day long. Like your brain will be primed to keep you in that state. And the more you do it, the longer it will sustain. And then a problem comes up that used to make you flustered and used to put you back into beta brainwaves. And now you go, oh, I know how to solve this. This isn't a big deal. You'll see other people freaking out about things and you'll go, it's just not that important. And I'm tapped into creativity to resolve it. It's a good way to go through life, huh? Good. Okay, let's get situated. Let's do this. So just get comfortable, if you will. And set an intention before you start. You can close your eyes whenever you're ready. Set an intention to tap in to something greater than you. Whatever you want to call that. Some form of intelligence, consciousness, awareness, information that is beyond you and at the same time within you. And all you have to do now is tune in to the frequency of it. And to start, get a sense of your entire spine. And the space around your entire spine. The central channel of energy that flows through you and around you. And as you're aware of the space in and around your spine, get a sense of the space inside your brain. The right hemisphere, full of energy, feeling, seeing, sensing the texture of space in and around that right hemisphere of your brain. And as you sense that, also get a sense of the entire left hemisphere of your brain. The textures, the space, maybe even the temperature inside of both hemispheres of your brain as they connect now. Like a bridge, a channel, or a fiber optic cable network that connects both hemispheres of your brain. Feeling them synchronizing and getting a sense of the textures and the space inside and around your brain. And briefly get a sense of that problem you want to solve or the goal you want to achieve. And just feel that intention for the highest and greatest good. And now go to the end state, the outcome, and put yourself into that highest and best outcome. And be very clear and very specific. And in this outcome state, in this end state, get a sense of the space around your body. And get a sense of the space that connects you to everyone and anyone else in this state, in this end state. And you may feel or see the energy exchange, that feedback loop between anyone else in this scene. And if you would like to change the energy exchange, change it. Make it right and perfect for you. And get a sense in this scene of expansion. Notice what you see, what you hear, what you smell, maybe even what you taste. And see if you can open your focus enough inside this end state to hold all of your senses at the same time. The sense of space inside your body, the sense of space around your entire body. Simultaneously, what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste. And I wonder if you can become aware of both of your big toes and both of your thumbs. And I wonder how quickly and how easily you can just let go completely. Now, surrendering. And I don't know how quickly your mind can find perfect stillness. And the more you let go, and the more you allow, the more ideas, insights, and inspiration will flow to you. Now. And just allow new awarenesses, new ideas, with no judgment. A flow, tapped in. To the ultimate source of creativity. And once you have a clear idea of the way forward for you, crystallize that into a few words or a symbol, and bring those words or that symbol into your conscious awareness. Put language to them. Bring back your left hemisphere. And once that left hemisphere is involved and your language is very clear about the way forward for you, the insights, the vision, the inspiration, you can slowly or quickly bring your awareness back into your body, feeling that sense of sustained expansion, groundedness, and presence. Coming all the way back in your own way, in your own time. Now, maybe feeling more energy flowing, feeling all of the parts of your brain and body synchronized, memorizing this feeling as you're completely centered back in your body, ready, willing, and able to open your eyes, looking forward to everything this life, your incredible mind, and your incredible body have to offer you. Now. Eyes opening, feeling incredible. feel like I disappeared for a while. I'm not sure what happened. Was I talking the whole time? I don't think any of you know. Yeah, you don't remember. All right. Was that kind of a cool experience?
That was amazing.
Good. Did everybody have some insights, creative inspiration, ideas? The frequency of source is pure love. Yeah. So when we shut off that narrator and we shut off our need to control things and we surrender and allow, we experience more connection with source, God, that field of information beyond us. And so that's where we pull from, right? Like we have to stop trying so hard with the conscious mind, and we use our conscious mind to decide, to get clear on what we want, and then hand the plans over and let them come to you. And this is what we're going to do with the money course. And this is what we're going to do with the planning your day course, is training yourself. You know, you can call it the subconscious mind, you can call it source, whatever. Sarah says, I cannot put into words how powerful that was for me. Speechless. Good. Good. Anybody else want to share? Anybody have like a unexpected download or insight from that?
I think probably everyone did. You know, I think, I don't know about anyone else here, but the initial problem, I kind of resolved that, and then it went somewhere else to a creative space. It wasn't a problem space. It was you know, it was creating something. So that's where that was the effect on me. It was great. You're on fire this evening, I have to tell you. You're probably,
thank you,
really in it.
So one thing we're going to do going forward, and I want to create a culture of this in this group, is sharing our wins. So all the time we're on these calls, we're tuning you guys into your goals, to the end state, to the new version of yourselves, to creating the things that you want to create. And I think it's really important for us going forward to share in the group or to share on these calls what you're creating or manifesting from these things. So I'm often, you know, imagining things happening, and then they come into my life. And I want us to share these with each other. I want you to say, you know what? I did this meditation this morning where I imagined finding a $100 bill, and I went out and I found a $100 bill. Whatever, however big, however small, I want to share these wins. Like Alan did last week, where he says, you know, I'm doing this metamorphosis course. I feel like my energy shifted, and I got a check out of nowhere for 300 or 400 pounds. These are the things that when you have a win and you create something out of your imagination, out of your subconscious mind, it's going to give our group momentum, and it's going to give us permission for all of us to go out and to do these things. I know we've all done it before, but let's get intentional. Let's learn to use our language and be specific. And that's what these courses going forward are about. Whether it's the money course, the planning your day course, we'll do the self-hypnosis course again. That's all in the works for you guys. And it's all geared around taking a vision, taking an idea, planting it into your subconscious mind or the field, and then letting it show up in your life. So can we commit to sharing those wins as a group, tracking that? Like, you guys should have a journal for the stuff you're working on manifesting. And then come to these calls with that. Let's put that in there and let your subconscious mind create it. I've done this. Freddie and I have done this over and over and over again, where unexplained things just show up when someone gets really clear on what they want. All right, Allison, you wanted to share?
Yeah, I don't know if you were on the past couple of calls where I was telling Freddie how my neighbor put up some cameras facing my front door.
Okay.
And she's been harassing me and bullying me. She put her house up for sale this last week.
Yeah.
She's moving. And then, so that took care of that. And,
what did you, Allison, hold on. What did you do to facilitate that process?
I went round and I was singing outside her house.
Yeah, I was singing and dancing in front of the cameras, which are apparently fake. I found out from another neighbor, or they're not plugged in or something. So I just imagined it going away, and I sent her love, and I don't know. And Freddie also, this has really helped because Freddie said, when you're going through a tough spot, imagine you're next to me. So I want to say something. Yesterday, I was in court for the Liz pendants because I have not only the cameras, but I have a Liz pendants on one of my listings. And so I haven't been paid for 45 days because of Liz pendants. So we thought the Liz pendants was going to get expunged yesterday. And I imagined literally Freddie sitting next to me in court because I was by myself. My client decided last minute not to show up. Well, it got postponed until tomorrow for the judge wants an evidentiary hearing. So I'm like, what the fuck just happened here? But I got to tell you, when I was in panic because I thought I was running late. I couldn't find the courtroom. They stopped me at security, and I stopped the whole line of jury duty people, because they found some metal thing in my purse I had no idea was there, and I was in a complete panic. And so I sat down. I finally sat down in the courtroom, and I just pretended that Freddie was sitting next to me, saying it's all going to work out. And when the judge said, we're going to postpone this for 2 more weeks, in my head, I'm like, what the? And so I calmly said, well, we can't because, and I gave him reasons, urgency. So he said, I don't like being rushed, young lady, but I will open up my calendar for Friday at 10:30. So
Okay.
10:30.
I'll be there with you, Alison.
Thank you. And so I
Yeah.
was just visualizing the outcome that I wanted, because I want this to scare the current buyer, and I want my buyer to come in. I was imagining celebrating in the kitchen with champagne, and his daughter's brushing the horse, and inviting the neighbors over,
Yeah,
and
it's
having,
great.
so I was imagining all that. So I'm asking you guys to help me participate, help me manifest that tomorrow. So
Okay.
yes, Freddie, I'm going to imagine you there.
Thanks. I'll be there for the champagne for sure.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Everything is a creation of our minds and our imagination. So we're always putting ideas into this field that I've been talking about, and pulling things from that. And so when we're stressed or panicked, like, the universe, our subconscious mind isn't filtering. It's not saying, well, this might not serve this person, let's not put that in. Like, it gives you the free will to do that with your mind and your imagination. So the more you become aware of your thoughts, the more you can open your focus and pull what you want from the universal substance, the better your life's going to be. And I think, like Allison, I had a tenant a while ago who I just could not evict. And I was so frustrated. I'd go to court, I'd have all my ducks in a row, and the judge just kept throwing my eviction case out. And one time I was like, you know what? I'm going to transmute I think I've told this story before. I'm going to transmute the energy with Ernest. That was his name. I think he was an alcoholic and older guy. And I was like, I just sent him love. I imagine him being well. And then 2 days after doing that, Allison, I got a message from another former tenant that was like, I don't know if you heard, but Ernest got diagnosed and he's got about a week to live. And so I'm like, I think I let him go. Like, it was his time to go. And he was only hanging on into this world because of my anger and my frustration. And so once I released that, I transmuted it, and he was free to move on to the next world. So we can do these things all the time by shifting the energy, by shifting our imagination, and by shifting our intention. So
okay.
Anyway,
you can stay angry with me as long as you like now. You can hold that anger as long as you like.
We'll keep you around, Freddie. All right. Does anyone else want to share before I think that about wraps this week up? We had a great turnout today. I'm stoked all of you guys had such a good experience. Yes, Nolene.
My battery's low, so apologies if I disappear. I really wanted a treadmill, and I've been looking on, for a secondhand treadmill and thinking, oh, how will I get it home? I've got these big long stairs. And I've been working with an autistic 19-year-old girl who's quite handicapped on a weekly basis. And I also work with her parents, so they don't know it. So when I put her in trance, they go into trance. Bingo. Would you like a treadmill? They say. We will deliver it. We'll carry it up your stairs, and we've got access to the transport for it.
Love it.
I'm getting it this week.
So
Fantastic.
that's so great. And the problem a lot of times is we try to consciously figure out, like, how am I going to get it home? Where's it going to come from? Stop doing that. Like, let that come. You just got to get clear on what you want. Let your subconscious mind figure it out. And then you get surprises like this. That's such a great story.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And Linda, you wanted to share?
Yeah, I had a really bizarre one. I'm holding an event soon, and it's not going the way I wanted to. Anyhow, I reached out to a journalist thinking that if I got an article, it would help me. He didn't want to speak to me. So I went away at the weekend for a Harley Davidson rally, completely forgot about it. I'd switched off the computer, turned the computer back on when I got back, and it opened up with this guy. I hadn't looked him up. He was just there on the computer. I couldn't believe it. So I reached out to him and told him about a woman that I'd met. So we've now entered a dialogue. So I'm still hoping for the thing, but it was the fact that on the computer he was there. It was like, how the hell did that happen? It's bizarre. I know. Thank you.
Yeah, when your energy shifts, I've had this many times where I'm stressed about something and I go on a trip and I have a great time and I forget about it. And then that thing just magically resolves. Like when we energetically hold on to things and our conscious mind spins about it, we get stuck with that thing in our life. And when you can open your focus, forget about it, surrender, allow, those things just tend to dissolve. Great. And in unexplainable ways as well. Yes, Darlene.
It sounds off,
I
darling.
don't think you have your, well, you're not muted, but I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
We can hear you now.
Oh, okay. I had my headphones plugged in, sorry. So I'm just curious. I wasn't sure how the library and the courses were going to work. Is it all part of the monthly fee? Are the courses going to be extra? Just trying to budget, just trying to figure things out.
So we've got it right now, and I probably should have mentioned this earlier. We've got it right now for one low monthly fee. You get access to the entire library and the weekly calls. And the courses coming forward are going to be on these weekly calls. So we're going to do some multi-week courses that are all on these calls. There'll be recordings that go with them, separate individualized recordings, and everything's all included for one low monthly rate. And next Friday, I'm not going to say the price on here because I don't want someone 2 years from now to listen to this recording and know how low our price is right now. But next Friday, it's going to more than double. And I'm not going to say that price either. So it's on that landing page. For what you get for these calls, I think it's a stupid price, and for what's coming as well. So Freddie and I have talked about this. We want to build a movement more than we want to sell individual courses. And we just want to create a library of the world's greatest transformational content and have as many of you on board as possible. And so we want to make it accessible as we can. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Perfect. So one more question. So you
Yes.
sign up for the 15-day trial and then it just automatically rolls in?
Yep. You'll put your credit card in now. It won't charge it for 15 days.
Okay.
And then, then you're rocking and rolling.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we've got really great plans, what we want to do. And, when Nick approached me last year at Hypno Thoughts Live in Las Vegas and spoke to me about doing this, I know where Nick's coming from. His whole thing is about creating something incredible that's gonna help the people that come along with us. And so both going from the same place. And between us, you've seen Nick tonight. I mean, he's incredible. And so, I believe between us, what he knows and I know, and the things we're still learning from all of you, we should all be able to get to a space where we're living happily, as healthy as we can be, achieving what we want to achieve. And that's our goal over these next few weeks and months. We work together to be able to live our best lives, really. That's it, isn't it? Live a life that serves us free of any limitations we have. And Nick, as you can see from this evening, he has a great insight into how our mind works, how our brain works, and and I can hypnotize you as well. So between us, not as well as Nick did to me tonight. I was gone twice tonight. I nearly fell off this stool twice tonight. But that's our goal for all of you anyway, to help you achieve what you want to achieve and create the life you want.
And we're just getting started. Like, we just put a content plan in place. We really, I think we've both kind of been doing different things, and we've got our video editors, we've got content from HypnoThoughts, and lots of new stuff coming out that we're just super excited about and growing this. And I love seeing all these familiar faces and new faces on here every week. And this gives us energy, and hopefully for you, it's the highlight of your week as well. But that's how we feel. Yes, Veronica.
Sure. I just wanted to say thank you so much. It was a great exercise and something I was procrastinating on. So it kind of helped me get clarity and feel better about it, because it was something I was procrastinating and I was just, putting it on the side. I wouldn't even open like some of my bills and things like that. So it gave me more clarity and just made me feel good about it, that I can handle it and do those things. And I think both of you provide like so much value. And I've been, coming to those sessions for maybe 5-6 times, and it's been like incredible. Both you, Freddie, and Nicholas. It was just has been amazing. So I'll be definitely joining. So I just wanted to say thank you to both of you, because it's just, and I'm looking forward to everything you'll be creating, because I think it will be incredible. And I have just one quick question about like exercises like we did today. Do you think it's beneficial to listen to things like that at night, so like it works on your subconscious mind, or maybe would be like different types of hypnosis?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're going to create, especially with the money program, more sleep type hypnosis processes. A lot of times when we create a process, it's like, oh, do I wake somebody up and put them into this like energized state, or do I put them down into sleep, or do I have to create 2 different audios? And so we'll create some specifically for that. And I think when I do the time and the planning one, the evening meditation will definitely be this kind of open focus, seeing your day and then drifting off into sleep. And with the money one, I've already got 3 different sleep hypnosis tracks planned. So it's just getting all this stuff created for you guys. But there's, as you can imagine, no shortage of ideas.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thanks for showing up every week. All right, we got some people jumping off here. Mandy says, get the open focus brand on Audible. I will remember to put that podcast in the library as well. That's one of my favorite podcasts. I think I missed some of your questions and comments in there today, but I think that wraps it up for today. Was amazing seeing you all on there, all on here again this week. Veronica, could you raise your hand again? Are you good? You're good. Okay. Anybody else want to share as people are signing off for the evening? Yes, Diana.
I have a question, actually. I didn't get a resolution the last time, but I have 3 possible choices about something. And that's difficult, isn't it? So am I supposed to put one choice out at a time? Or what?
I would feel into each one of those choices,
right,
and see how they go. Imagine doing option A, option B, option C.
Okay.
And I think you'll get a pretty clear sense of which one works out the
Works
way
out better.
that
Yeah.
I would think so.
And just to say, when we went through the going into space, I was totally elevated in all the space. Absolutely incredible. Thank you.
Good.
The answer will come to you. I don't know, it'll be a minute from now, an hour from now, maybe tomorrow, when you'll suddenly realize exactly what you need to do, and you'll realize the choice you need.
Okay. Can I just say, Freddie, you're very quiet compared to Nick.
Well,
when you speak.
everyone says that. Just my
Well,
natural.
why are you?
I think it's your microphone, Freddie.
Quieter than Nick. I don't know. Maybe I've got my mic a little bit further away or something.
Yeah,
so.
a bit too far.
Okay. Yeah. But it's nice to see you anyway.
I'm beginning to think I was going deaf. Pardon?
All right, yeah, Dakota. Hey man, good to see you.
Good to see y'all too. Do y'all have a way of accessing these recordings after they're done, or?
Yeah, so they're all these recordings are part of the library. So I'll send you a link. It's ministryofthemind.org/subscribe. So
Okay.
there's a 15-day free trial, our whole library, all of these. I think this is our 30th breakthrough broadcast, and then any of the courses we have going forward, everything's included for one stupid cheap rate for right now.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. But I think there's some pretty, I mean, we got a pretty good library by now of all of these calls. I mean, we've done some pretty cool experiences. So I think it might be worth checking out. All right. Anything else? Everybody good? Everybody looks happy, healthy. Just hanging out, waiting for us to end the call.
I know I'm biased, but I thought this was one of the best, if not the best, session we've had. So thanks, Nick. It's great.
Yeah, my pleasure.
It's really good.
So I said in the email, I knew it was going to be a good one, and everybody that showed up believed me, and everyone that didn't missed out. So
starve yourself every 3 or 4 weeks, and then when you come back, you're going to be like this.
1 step backwards and 2 step forward. That's how we do it. That's how we do it. All right, all of you. I love you all. It's been great to see you. I'll get this recording put up, and more next week. More to come.
Thank you, Nick.